So, welcome to the show today. I am really so curious about this conversation because of my personal life path, and which is kind of similar to a lot of people's life paths right now, because I'm going to be talking with a woman who has written a book about marriage. The book is called Marriage Minded, an A to Z dating guide for lasting love. I want to welcome Marcia Naomi Berger. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me on your show, Susan.
Oh, I'm excited. So whenever I know there's going to be a great conversation, I get these chills that just I get it. It's like I get plugged in to an electrical socket, and it's like, wow, I can't wait to see. So I'm curious because it's marriage for people that really want to be married. That's what the book is about. But you've done a dating guide first, or throughout the whole book. And I love the way it's built, actually, the A's, the B's, the C's, and each one has bullet points that are important. So tell everybody why you decided to design a book this way.
There are a lot of books out about marriage and about dating that cover one or two important themes, and they're good books. I wanted to have a really thorough book that explored just about any aspect of dating and marriage, and even getting to dating, overcoming the kind of obstacles that are in so many people's way. And I thought it would be fun also to have people read it in A to Z, like A is for ambivalence, A is for attitude, A is for awesome. Remember, you are. So those like 3 topics under A, and then there are topics under B. I won't do the whole alphabet now, don't worry. But B is for boundaries, B is for be yourself, and so on. And it might be half a page to a couple of pages on each topic. So anything that anybody wants to know, you can look in the index, you can look in the table of contents, go right where you want to be, or you can read it cover to cover or open it randomly.
And I love that you have the A to Z at the front of the book, and then what page each topic is on, because exasperating under X, exasperating, accept your own and your partner's imperfections. Holy moly. If I had this when I was in my early 20s dating, this really would have helped me make more informed choices. But I also get, Naomi, that this book, you also are guiding people to know thyself, right? You know, really get to know and love and respect yourself as you're going through the process of dating.
Definitely. Very important. Because
that wasn't something I was taught.
I don't think most of us were taught that. And I dated for a long time before I got married, and I did not have a lot of the information that I have now and that I really want to pay forward.
Oh, I so appreciate that, because, you know, I grew up, I'm at the end of the baby boomer era. Right. And so my modeling, and you talk about this, hopefully you have a good, under M for mentor, you know, hopefully you have a good mentor or model on how relationships can work well. And while I don't think I had that, but also part of being at the end of the baby boomer, there was this whole, you got to get married expectation. So women in my generation, I just turned 62. We went to college because an education was important, but there was also this unaware belief system that you also went to college to find your future husband, because that's what happened in the 50s and in the 40s. Mm-hmm. Women weren't wasn't to go to college because women needed an education. They were smart and they were going to go out in the world and have a career or a business. You went to college so you could now I'm going in a sideways, sorry, Naomi, but you went to college so you could be intelligent enough to carry on a conversation with your husband's colleagues, right?
I'm thinking about, this is true when I went to college too, it was actually a little before you did. And people used to joke, you're going for your MRS degree.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't consciously thinking that when I went, but I certainly wasn't thinking about what's my occupation going to be, even what am I going to major in for a while. And I guess by good luck or divine providence, however you think about it, I majored in English and I got my master's degree in social work. And even though I was given a message that it didn't really matter what I did because I was going to get married and my husband was going to support me. Well, that didn't happen. I married after dating for 20 years or so. And meanwhile, I established myself, my career, and without even, it was like, well, what else am I going to do? So I just moved along.
Right. And I have several friends in my age bracket that didn't get married, and we've, and then they did late in life and it wasn't the right fit. So I got married at 25. I did not realize I had a belief system so embedded in me that I had to get married, right? It wasn't even that I had my biological clock ticking, because I really knew I needed to do a lot of work on me before I could have a child. So creating this marriage-minded guide for people that are dating, what are some of the key components that you wanted to focus on?
Well, I wanted to focus on 4 key components. And so I have the book divided, actually, theoretically, at least, into 4 sections. And the first one is overcoming obstacles. And a big obstacle is often the attitude, such as, I'm not good enough, I'm too thin, I'm too fat, I'm too old, whatever it is that gets in people's way. And so it's important to recognize that. And then you can do something about it, because you can adjust your attitude if you want to. And then the next section is dating. And that's a big part of the book, and all kinds of aspects about how to date if you do have marriage in mind, and to differentiate between what I think of as recreational dating and marriage-minded dating. And then so that, how do you talk about, how you find out if the guy has the same kind of reason for dating as you have, not necessarily that he and you are going to get married, but you have this is what you're trying to find out, if it's going to work or not. And then the third section is committing. When do you have that talk, if it hasn't happened naturally, about where's this relationship going, and if it ends up going that you get engaged. And the final is marriage and how to keep it good. And actually, my first book focuses on that. It's called Marriage Meetings for Lasting Love, and it teaches couples how to have a weekly gentle conversation that covers all the important aspects of the relationship, so that both people keep feeling appreciated and the teamwork is good and they still have fun together, make plans for the weekly dates and other good times, and deal with their issues respectfully, using the kind of communication skills that I describe in detail in the book also. So marriage is the goal, but it's not the end, because like I say, it's not really the wedding, it's the marriage, and it's how you keep it thriving.
Right. And if it's going to be a long-term relationship, even if you're not married, because so many people choose not to get married for a variety of reasons, but they stay together for 20, 30 plus years. How do you keep that relationship healthy and growing and thriving? And you've got some good suggestions in this book.
Thank you. Yeah.
So let's talk about the marriage meeting first, and then we'll work our way backwards, because
okay.
When I was reading that,
start with the end in mind.
Right. When I was reading that, and I'm currently in a phenomenal, wonderful, after I got divorced from a 28-year marriage, I didn't think I could ever meet someone else again. And yet I knew I had the second half of life, a second chance, right? And I did some of the things that you suggest in the book, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I was thinking about this with my ex-husband and even my current husband, this idea of taking time weekly to have these meetings. So explain to everybody what the meetings are.
Oh, okay. As I said, it's a gentle conversation. A lot of people balk at the idea of meeting. They think it's like what they do at work, but it isn't like that, except that it has a pretty flexible agenda, but I divide it into 4 parts. Appreciation, where each partner takes an uninterrupted tone, saying what they value and liked about what happened, what the other person did during the week and maybe what character traits they enjoyed seeing displayed in each other, as well as behaviors. And then the next part, you can call it chores or task, the business part of the relationship, whatever needs to be done to keep the household running smoothly and the finances okay. So anything that comes up that you don't already have a routine for, it may not be who's cooking if you always have the same person, or you already have a system for who's cooking and who's doing the dishes. But let's say we need a new roof or something like that. Who's going to handle it and how? So that's taking care of the business part of the relationship. Then the third part is called planning for good times. And this is where you have the weekly date. Practically everybody's heard it's a good idea to have a weekly date with your partner. Does it always happen? As a therapist, people come in often and they haven't had something like a date in many years.
Right.
And then others are doing real well with keeping up the weekly date. And so, but in the meeting, you don't just say, we're going to do this sometime. We're going to say, this is where we're going to go Saturday night. And I don't mean it like a directive, like I made it sound, but like we talk about, what do you want, what do I want to do? Okay, let's find what we both want to do. And then set a date for it, and who's going to make the arrangements if reservations are needed or something like that. And then the last part is dealing with the challenges, and every relationship has issues, and we don't want to keep them swept under the table because they have a way of growing and turning into grudges if we don't take care of them fairly soon.
Yep.
So this is a good time to clear up misunderstandings, talk about anything that's gotten somebody emotional, whether it's hurt feelings or just a misunderstanding that needs to be cleared up. And because it's hard for people to talk about this, I give in the book 7 communication skills to use.
Oh, great.
That make it fairly pleasant actually to talk about issues and to recognize that you can easily resolve a lot of issues. Some of them will linger, but you talk about them over time and know that Rome wasn't built in a day, but you have a nice process going.
So I have a couple questions about this.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think which one I want to ask. Okay, so first off, in both of my relationships, these relationships, if I were to say, let's have a marriage meeting, it would be me driving it. Do you know what I mean? Most men, that at least people I've been in relationships, they don't go, oh, wow, we should meet once a week to discuss this. It's usually the women that want to talk. Yeah.
Not like that. Not like that. Okay. So we're not going to talk about meeting once a week. We're going to talk about trying this thing one time.
Oh, okay.
Baby steps.
Because I'm currently with a guy that I absolutely adore. We have committed to the end, to our end days. And he is, and I had him do the love language thing, right, Naomi? And he does not like to talk, doesn't want to talk about his feelings, he shows me his feelings with a hug or a caress or a silly gift or but he never, I have to, sometimes when there's an issue, I really have to dig in so that it can come to the surface. So I know what it is I need to adjust or change.
And what's the question?
Well, so I don't ever think if I said, hey, could we try this once? He'd say, okay. But to have it be an ongoing something.
Okay. Plan how you're going to do it. That if he says, okay, the first time you're ahead of the game already.
Okay.
Because a lot of guys, come on, don't do that to me.
Right.
Okay. So first of all, you load up on the appreciation. I'm so glad that you're brave enough to do this. And we're going to make it fun. And you're going to load up on the appreciation. You're also going to let him run the meeting. You may initiate it.
Okay.
All right. I see what you're thinking. Okay. I think I can see what you're thinking. I think you're thinking, what? He won't do it.
Yeah. Okay. And I would love it if he did.
Okay.
I would.
All right. So it helps if you look at the book. You can read it, you can buy it, you can take it out from your library. Okay. you can listen to the audio. And it depends on what you like to do and what he likes to do. If you first expose yourself to the book and the instructions, and it gives examples of how people get past some blocks by having marriage meetings, and again, all the communication skills, the agenda, make it like that's the first thing is I'm not going to just lay this on you and be your teacher, but let's learn about it together.
Right.
And then it's the one thing, you know, I tell people to do if the husband or partner says, no, I don't want to do that. Okay, when's your birthday? When is Mother's Day applies or Valentine's Day? This is the gift I want, one meeting.
Oh, that's a good idea.
All positive. N is for negotiate, is in the book.
Mhm.
Marriage minded, N is for negotiate. So ways to express what you want in a way that the other person is going to be happy and find it a good idea because this person is going to get something nice too. I mean, he wants to give you a present, and it certainly, you know, you may not need another necklace or blouse or whatever, you know, but wouldn't this be lovely to try a marriage meeting? And then you make it so much fun by lots of appreciation. Don't ask him to do anything. Tell him what chore you have in mind you're going to do. But if you can get him to run the meeting, it's not a big deal running the meeting. It's like saying, he gets to say, it's time for appreciation now, and he gets to express his appreciation before you express yours.
And that's so, I got to say, that's so smart, Naomi, because, you know, it just is gently guiding them to say things and do things. I'm definitely going to look into, read the rest of that section and see if we can do this, because I can tell that if there, when stuff and you said this in your book, when stuff gets swept under the rug, the emotions or the hurts, or, you know, and we can hurt our partner without even realizing that we're doing it. You know, sometimes often it's unintentional, but to address those things first instead of going, well, you know, tomorrow's another, you know, I'm thinking of Scarlett O'Hara, tomorrow's another day, you know, it'll be better. That's kind of denial, right? So this sounds like it gets you more conscious, and then in a conscious connection with your partner.
Yeah, it prevents building grudges.
Yeah, and that's a big, one.
Yeah, you hear these relationships. In fact, I just worked with, I'm a therapist, I specialize in working with couples and adults, individuals. And this man was explaining, this man who had a little trouble standing up to his wife and expressing his feelings, although we've done some good work on that. He said that his parents' marriage, his father never said a word. His mother would berate him or whatever she did, and it was, you know, complaining. And then he wrote her a note and left and never came back.
Oh, wow.
You know, so this is like 20 years or more building grudges because there's no conversation. Yeah.
Right.
And the marriage meeting makes it a gentle conversation.
Yeah.
The details of the marriage meeting are in a different book from Marriage Minded. Marriage Minded mentions it, but to actually know exactly how to hold the meeting in the most effective way, that's the book that's called Marriage Meetings for Lasting Love. So this is, you know, Marriage Minded is mostly for before you're married, although married people can benefit from a lot of the ideas in it. But for the specifics about how to hold an effective marriage meeting, that's the Marriage Meetings for Lasting Love book.
Okay. So Naomi, let's kind of, I want to go in a different direction with this, because so many people, and I never thought it would happen to me, but it did. So many people have gotten divorced. And so like I got divorced, and my son was 18 when I initiated the divorce procedures, and it rocked his world. Even though he'd been living in the household where it was not healthy, right? The energy was not healthy in that marriage. But it still shocked him. He just wasn't aware for whatever reason. And so then after that, he and I have a phenomenal relationship. We had to rebuild, but we have a phenomenal relationship. And he's come to me several times about, ask me, you know, why did you get divorced? And would you ever get back together? Oh, good God, no. But also, well, so what does that mean? Does marriage mean anything? And what if I want to get married, and what should I do and or not do so that I don't ever get divorced? Because he said, if I get married, I don't want to go through divorce. Well, who does? Nobody does.
Right.
So how would you speak to that? How would you counsel an individual who's a child of divorce?
Well, first of all, I would be quite empathic because I have been through that myself. Because my parents divorced when I was 13, and it did, I don't know, traumatic almost seems like a mild word to describe what it's like. And divorce is all too common now. And I think it's, for a child, it's like, kids think their parents are going to be there together. It's almost like an unwritten contract. So
Right.
It's really important to emphasize that, and also anything that you can do, especially helping them get, I think, we mentioned mentors, people that they know, so they know that good marriages are possible. And also knowledge is power. So that's why I write these books, to give people the kind of information so they're coming in and they can be proactive rather than wait until things fall apart and then try to put the pieces together and maybe it's too late. So get all the information that you can about how to communicate well, and of course how to choose well. You mentioned you were 25, and some of us are ready at a really early age, and some of us need to mature to be ready. And I'll put myself in that category. So I don't mean it as a put down. I just mean it as to wait for the right time, not to feel like because my friends got married, I have to do it now.
Yeah, I was like one of the first of my friends, so it probably would have served me to wait another 10 years, or even 5 years to know myself. But I wasn't at that point. I was a spiritual quester, but I didn't see that it was about me knowing me so that I could be in a relationship that was healthy for me. I saw them as two. I'm on a spiritual quest and here's my relationship.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, when they get involved in a career, they see it as my career and my relationship, and they're separate, but that's not really the way relationship works, right? Relationship should be the foundation that supports you in all that you are and all that you do. Did I just throw out my opinion there?
No, I mean, that's, you're preaching to the choir.
Okay. Okay. So if people are marriage minded, right? Does that mean that they are, we got to talk about monogamy and not being monogamous, because the millennials right now, not monogamous. They don't get the point of monogamy, as far as I understand. A lot of these people, if you're watching stuff that's happening on the social media sites and the Instagram sites and the TikTok.
Are you talking about dating?
Yes, I'm talking about
marriage.
But here's my thing. And I'm just really, like I said, I'm a certain age now. I think I'm just really old fashioned. But if you are, okay, Naomi, if you're going around with a bunch of different men, I mean, in my day and age, either you got AIDS or you had to have an abortion because you weren't taking care of yourself. This day and age, they know how to take care of themselves, and yet they're going around with a bunch of different partners and not, what do you need to do in order to decide, is this the one I want to spend my life with?
Well, you have to know who you are and what you want, basically. And I don't think I know not all many millennials are dating that way, but I do understand it is so easy especially with the internet, to keep finding new people and wonder if there's somebody better around the corner. I think when people, I think deep down inside, everybody yearns for marriage, for a lifetime partner, intimate, everyday kind of relationship through life. And people maybe confused when we all were, I think when we were younger, where we
Right.
go. Not all of us, because some people got married out of high school and or college and live happily ever after. But a lot, there is also a lot of confusion. We live in a society where relationships are kind of glamorized in a way where our expectations can get unrealistic, especially with the romantic movies and the fairy tales and all that.
What are they, the reality TV stuff? My God, that's just so much non-reality in what they call reality TV, at least not in my reality, and nor do I want it.
And just, as you're saying that, I'm wondering how much, this kind of dating that you're talking about, where people are, having lots of experimental kind of quick relationships and longer relationships, how much of that is because they did not have kind of the values or the role models for a good lasting relationship when they were growing up?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that question, because I know of one person that the parents are still married, have always been married, but it's been a very contentious relationship. And then there's a go around and a comeback and a mea culpa, and the parents are still together. So I don't know if that triggers individuals. I know for me, my parents should have been divorced several times over. Now, my mother has since passed away, and my father has he talks about his life with her as if there were never really any problems. And I lived through it. Both my brother and I were like, whoa. So basically, really, it does distill down to just really learning about yourself first.
I think so. Yeah. And also recognizing that you don't have to repeat your parents' experience. And
that's a big deal.
Yeah. When you mention this tumultuous relationship, how did they get that way? It often goes back to generations until somebody gains this self-awareness to say, I'm going to break the chain. I'm going to create something different and better.
Yes. Which is what I consciously and intentionally did while I was going through divorce. So, because I didn't want a repeat. Been there, done that, no more.
Right.
And I wanted to know, I wanted to lay groundwork for my son to at some point feel safe enough to then commit to a relationship, because the divorce was so caustic.
Yeah. It sounds like you did really well, Susan.
I did.
He is getting married now, and you like his intended, and that's wonderful.
And I pulled all my stops out too. I just went, when I was going through divorce, I'm like, all right, let me get to know me. Let me let go of all the guilt and the shame and the blame, and and I did that in order to then be open as much as I could, open my heart to a positive, happy relationship. And in the book, you talk about, do you actually use the word lists? Making a list?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, three lists.
Okay, what are the 3 lists?
1, what you are looking for in a partner. 2, what you have to offer that your partner will appreciate. And 3, and I say 10 for each of those lists, 10 qualities for each of those lists. But the 3rd list, I want to be gentle. So I say 5 areas in which you could stand to improve a little, that your partner would appreciate seeing that improvement.
Okay, I've been, from the time I was a preteen, I've been the maker of lists of self-improvement, what I need to change, what I need to improve.
Wow.
And it kind of became a brutalizing. I'm seeing those monks that do that whatever, beating themselves up on the back because, but where you can improve, like you said, in a gentle way.
In a gentle way. With the idea being that, I was thinking about how when I was single and my friends were single, we used to have these conversations about what was wrong with whoever we were going out with, totally oblivious to our own shortcomings.
Right.
Okay. So this is like, hey, let's be realistic. He's going to have to put up with stuff that I'm not perfect in, and vice versa.
And some of the things
yeah.
you like about yourself, maybe something that just punches somebody else's buttons.
Well, maybe, yeah, that could happen too. And I was thinking, I want to say about the first list, though, it's really, really important about the first list, because some people, I do these workshops, Marry with Confidence workshops for women, single women, and we go over their list. And sometimes they may put things like he has to have a certain occupation, or a certain, has to be a certain height, or he has to like to ski, or, you know, whatever. Okay. These are things that really belong as wants rather than needs. So I encourage people to recognize what they need, like good character traits, like a lot of people leave out. And I say, what about kindness?
That was at the top of my list for my
Good.
current guy.
All
Kindness.
right. So you got it together there.
Well, and then the second one was a full head of hair.
Uh-oh. All right. So I don't know. You can't, in a certain way, what is, I'm trying to think, you can't argue with personal taste, but at the same time, what if he has a full head of hair, but he's emotionally unstable?
Oh, no.
Which would you pick? You only
Yeah,
have
yeah.
one, you know. So you have to, the thing, I have a friend who recently made 25 on her list. So I said, let's narrow that down. You know, does he have to vote for the same political party as you? You know, if he is kind and, you know, and emotionally stable and self-supporting, you know, if that's important to you. Not everybody even needs that, but whatever things that really do feel essential to you.
Yeah.
Separate, make a, you know, question your list, go over it with a friend or somebody else who you value their guidance.
Yes. And I think you're right, Naomi, about a short list.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have a long list, you can get lost in the mishigash of that. You can
exactly,
you know, it becomes hard to discern. Wait, they play the guitar, but you know, they don't have their money handled. What are you focusing on?
Right. Yeah. And then also with too many, how do you remember them all? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because like I made a list, I don't know, some years before I met my husband, I think. And I didn't remember consciously what was on it, but it's in the background. And I did find the list eventually. It turned up in my many papers that are around. And it was pretty close, you know, to what, the man I married. Yeah.
My list is very, very close. There's like one, maybe two things that are kind of sort of, but not. Mm-hmm. But I got all, you know, 90%. But I teach my clients to do this because it's all about inner transformation and self-worth and valuing. And if you value yourself, then the person you want to partner with, you need to value them, but they will value you as well, because they are attracted to that inner value, I guess.
Yeah, I think it is true that like attracts like. If you value yourself, you're likely to attract somebody who values himself or herself, you know, in a relationship. And vice versa. If you're going around kind of morose looking and you're not really shining forth, then you're going to attract a different kind of person who might be attracted to neediness, or and that's not a healthy person.
No, and you're not a healthy person if you're walking around being needy.
Right. So and it comes back to what you said, how important it is to value yourself and to know that you're worth.
Yes.
Doesn't mean you're perfect, but you're worthy.
Right.
And then you glow. You glow, and you attract people that are attracted to the kind of person you truly are and that you're emanating.
So I just opened your book under T and looked, and of course this is how I work, trauma. So in relationships, there can often be some trauma that needs to be healed, whether you're in the same relationship or you've moved on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you recommend for people that have had trauma, which are quite a few of us now, especially if you've gone through divorce?
Well, there are different therapies that help with trauma, and finding the one that fits for you. Being able to talk about it and have an empathic listener is really important. And it also depends, on the person, what they're ready to deal with. There may be a time that they don't want to talk about their trauma because it reenacts it.
Right.
And then there's a time that it can feel very supportive to talk about it and to get past it and deal with it. It's not something that you can expect your partner to take care of for you. It is a self-help kind of.
Yes. And it's important to have somebody outside of your partnership to listen.
Right.
Like a therapist or a family or a friend that you absolutely trust their discretion.
It could be if somebody has a close relationship with a pastor or a rabbi that is a good counselor, that might be helpful.
Right. And I think now I'm going to generalize, Naomi. I think women, because we need to talk things out. And I think sometimes we get confused with talking things out with our partner. And when it's about them, they have a hard time connecting or understanding or shifting. And oftentimes women that want to talk things out with their partners because they want their partner to fundamentally change.
Yeah, right. And if I'm understanding what you're saying, these are the discussions where the woman might think that she's communicating and the man hears it as a criticism of himself. So that, that's a delicate thing to, again, if you get the right kind of communication skills, the most helpful communication skills, then there are some things you can talk about with your partner. If you're talking about something that I think you mean, like if you're upset with something that the person has said or done, that you pick a time when, again, when you have a marriage meeting, then you've already loaded up on appreciation, so you're in a pretty good mood. You've planned your date, and so then you're gonna. And also, I say you pick your timing, just like your timing for the marriage meeting. Nobody should be hungry or tired. You should both be clean and sober at the time and have good energy. So you pick a time, and if you're going to do it during a marriage meeting, you already have it timed. If you're going to do it some other time, then just think about, is this a good time? And rather than just barge in while the person is reading or watching TV or on
which happens, right? If your
Drop
steam
everything, I want to say something.
Right. If you're boiling over,
Right. So rather than that, say, oh, there's something I want to talk to you about. Is this a good time? If not, when should we get together to talk about this? So the person has a choice.
So in practicing the A to Z's of dating, it also then sets the foundation for when, this is a phrase my son has been using, when and if you get married, right?
Yes. Yeah, you're finding out what kind of person this is, what kind of, and vice versa, and assessing for similar values, enough similar interests and lifestyle preferences.
Right. And I also think that it's this A to Z guide helps you. Hold on, I have to cough. Hold on. Sorry. So this A to Z guide, Naomi, it feels like, in what I perused and read, that, and I just opened up to knowing yourself. Until you make peace with, you have a quote by Doris Mortman, until you make peace with who you are, you'll never be content with what you have. Until you make peace with who you are. That is just, in its simplicity, it's so powerful. So it seems to me that this wonderful book you've crafted, Marriage Minded, an A to Z dating guide for lasting love is actually could be considered an A to Z guide for building the foundation within yourself, for loving yourself, lasting love for yourself, and therefore it naturally radiates out from you and translates into a lasting love in a committed relationship, whatever that looks like.
You said it beautifully, Susan. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. So, Naomi, you do have a website for people to go to and check out what else you do and all your other books.
Yes, that's Marriage Meetings with an S on the end, marriagemeetings.com.
I thank you so much for joining me today, and I thank you for your book. When we started talking at the beginning of the show, I thought of 3 people that I would love to gift this to for Christmas.
It's a great gift.
Christmas,
Valentine's Day, birthdays.
Yeah, it would be, and it doesn't have to be the person you're dating. I mean, I'm talking friends that are struggling, you know.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of women out there that are single that claim they don't want to be single, and yet there's just gently what we talked about today. I can think of a couple of people.
Yeah, well, A is for ambivalence. Remember, you know, they're yearning for it, and then there's some fears that are getting in the way, or attitudes.
Right. Because of trauma, because of trusting, because of not loving, because of, and you know.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Naomi. I appreciate it. And again, it's Marriage Minded, an A to Z dating guide for lasting love. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here, Susan. Thank you.
Yeah. And I just got to tell you, this entire time, you are adorable. You're adorable, Naomi.
That's so nice of you to say. Are we being recorded now?
Yes, we are. And I want that out in the world of how adorable you are, because you really are. So thank you.
Of you to say.
So I'm just going to end with, and so
You're
it is.
Adorable too.
Oh, thank you. I love it. So I'm ending with, and so it is. Namaste.